Welcome to the Goodman Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, somebody I know from when I was a young boy, without the gray hair, obviously. And it's a friend of mine, Caesar Said, who I know from Kuwait days, and somebody who has been inspiring us through WhatsApp because we haven't been in touch for a long time face to face. But I've been following his journey, and a very exciting person to talk to, somebody who understands media and technology. Caesar, a warm welcome to the Goodman Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj. This is so nice to have me over here and a platform to talk about great things related to technology. Really excited, and let's start this.
Fantastic. So before we jump into the technology part, tell us, who is Caesar? Tell us a bit about yourself,
Oh,
maybe business, personal, you name it.
I would say I'm like a Swiss Army knife, a little bit of everything. I do a lot of investments. I love technology. I invest a lot in technology related stuff. I would consider myself as a futurist. My business orientation is pretty much media related. So we do a lot of media content developing. For e-commerce stuff, we do, website development. We also do content for it. We make small skits, things like that. And recently, we're getting a lot into AI because that's the next step of how to make videos and how to make different kind of video content as as good as we can, and as efficiently too. Because in today's time, media content consumption is so fast. It's no more like how it's movies. Everything is 5 seconds, 10 seconds related. So yeah,
Absolutely.
this is pretty much me. I love traveling. I like seeing the world. I love absorbing everything. It's like a sponge. Give me anything and I'll absorb it. I'll try to learn about it, and I like to stay on top of tech and what's going on and predict the future, pretty much so. So things like that also gets involved with stocks and whatnot, and talking about companies and how they can progress and what's going to happen down the line in stocks and economies and things like that.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Caesar, how did you get into it? I mean, how did you get into media and technology and investing? I mean, what was the trigger?
So I pretty much studied business in Toronto over here. And then from there, my family's background is very media related. So a lot of my mom was into advertising, my dad is into media production, and so is my uncles and stuff back in India and stuff like that. So we got very much a very foresight right from start of how it's been done from the background. So, I would always see my dad with the camera, and, he's doing photography and he's doing video, and he had all the latest tech, what do you call, latest cameras. That was the evolution that was happening during that time when I was growing up in the 80s, that, all these different kind of cameras were getting more compact and easy to carry. Video cameras, I mean to say. And so also other cameras where Polaroids came into, and then we got other smaller cameras where we don't have to carry an SLR anymore. We can carry like just a snapshot camera and take pictures. Low cost, easy to use. And yeah, we got into that, and slowly, right from childhood, getting an idea of how to take shots, how to position it, how to get the lighting right. Back then it was camera rolls. So we don't have, like in today's time, how we could just take 10 shots and delete the other 9 if you want and keep one. So we had to be more precise. My first camera, I think so, I got it when I was 8-ish, 9-ish. On one of my birthday, my uncle gave it to me. And yeah, we just, from there, next thing you know, I get a camera roll once in 2 months, which I could use. And then, once it gets done, my father would go and develop it. And, that's how we got into media. Um, Tech also, I would say, is pretty much, coming from that Kuwait 80s background. We're seeing like Casio, the Game Watch, the calculator came into our school. That's all tech. And it always intrigued me. I'm like, wow, all these small devices, how are they so small? One of the most intriguing one was when Casio developed a credit card size calculator and also had a data bank. I don't know if you remember that in the 80s. and the Magic Diary came, and all those things came, and technology just moved, and I was just seeing it, either consuming it from one way or the other, or going to a shop and looking at it. As unlike today, we see everything on our screens. Back then, we would like to window shop a lot and actually physically see, and we also had time too, so we would go and check out tech into the Sony showroom, see what's going on there, or in the Sharp showrooms and things like that. So always very inquisitive with technology, one way or the other. Uh, uh, Also including video games. That also Atari's came in, NES. That's also technology evolution of it and how graphics progressed and stuff. But we were so young, we would just see characters, but slowly I would go like, what are these characters and how are they being developed? So we would read magazines and find out, and knowledge, just inquisitive about certain things than other things, what we would just study in school. So that was there. I would say another
No,
part of my mom would take me to her workplace. She was an advertising manager in Badr al Mullah, and she would take me to her workplace where her colleagues would introduce me to Mac and Photoshop, first versions of Photoshop back in the day, illustrators back in the day, which I had no idea what it is, but I would see it. And then maybe 10 years down the lane, I came across the latest version of Photoshop. I'm like, oh, I connected A and B. I'm like, okay, I kind of know what this is because I saw this as a child. So it was always there. It's like ingraining, certain things get ingrained in your mind in the past and then gets triggered in the future kind of stuff, or in the present, I would say. So yeah, it's technology. I love it. I read about it, and then I try to forecast what's happening in the industry.
absolutely phenomenal. In fact, I can testify that you were always in the cutting edge of bleeding edge of technology. I remember the first mobile phone or cell phone, as you might call on the other side of the pond,
Mm-hmm.
was first I saw any kid having it was you. I remember when you first brought it out to the Salmiya Center in Kuwait. I was like, wow, Caesar, you have a mobile phone. Can I have a look at it and see what you got there?
Yeah, from what I remember, I used to first initially carry my parents' phone when I used to go out. So I had some kind of a connection. It was an Ericsson phone, very small one. And then soon after that, I got a Nokia. I forgot the number of it, but it was a birthday gift given to me by my dad, and it was the banana phone, which was later on used in the Matrix. Um, so in the Matrix 1, they used that where it would automatically come out. The original one did not do that. So that was a modified version in the Matrix. But that was my first phone. And yeah, like what a technology. Where you would, try to find a line or something or somebody's home or, go to a corner of a room. Okay, you had wireless telephones and whatnot, but this thing you can use anywhere in the country in Kuwait. That was something, you have the cutting edge technology in your hand.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you're talking about your experience going to your mom's office and you checking out Adobe, for example, let's like fast forward to today and maybe even beyond today. There are these demos of Adobe Pro Cut talking about, generative AI within video shooting. I mean, you are a video production specialist. You've done a lot of media production. What's the take on the future of Sora, for example, and Adobe coming up with their stuff?
So, like, these are like I consider them as tools. They're tools, and it depends on the creator of how they want to create it and how they want to use it for their creation. The new technology, what it has just made it easier for content developers to express what they're trying to say easily, right? Before there would be bridges that needed to be filled up, as in like, person A is a creator and person B is the Adobe Photoshop user. Maybe this person does not have that knowledge of that so much, so you had to communicate. But now this person can write it and he can kind of edit it, and you don't need so much of expertise to use a tool to create something. Yes, it disrupts industry, which is very true, and but disruptions are happening all the time. Lots of studios, there were actual studios created just to develop film. photo film and movie films. And today they're not there anymore because that industry is disrupted by digital uh, creation, right? So same thing over here. Yes, a lot of digital artists who are making illustration, using Photoshop and this and Adobe other tools. Um, we might not need them, but maybe yesterday we needed 10, and today we might just need one or two. The other eight can go and find more innovation. So, these tools also give space for innovation because whenever there's a gap being filled, automatically, that's our human species survival of the fittest concept, right? We will go find a more better way, or go find um, better solutions. And a basic proof of that we can see is during the pandemic, how humanity found different solutions to problems, which is there so fast, right? So many industries were disrupted, but still they went around it. Zoom came up, and conferencing became such a big thing. Skype was there since time, you know, but what happened to Skype today? It's gone because they did not innovate at the right time. Zoom came in and they did that, and of course, different platforms after that are their successors too. Many, many, many business deals, $1 million or billions-dollar business deals are now done on camera, where you don't need to go face to face anymore because of the pandemic. So I would say, lots of changes coming in content development where AI is used, and of course, it is Adobe is there one of the biggest tools. I personally went to school to go study illustration and Photoshop because it was not that easy to just go and do it. So I went to proper schooling for that to understand it, and now I understand it. But now the industry is disrupted, so I kind of feel. I very much feel I wasted my time, but at the same time, I understand the background of it, which somebody else might not. So that will always be there, of knowing the background of how it works, what's the basics, how do you tinker it, and if you have to modify it, how do you modify it?
Yeah. I think what's interesting also is obviously you talked about studios being created and maybe not being used. My question, which I was thinking to myself, was looking at Sora, which is OpenAI's platform. They built a drone footage. They built a lady walking across in Tokyo. All that done. The actors, obviously, or actresses, or actors is what we call them now, to be more PC, are not real people. So you need to pay anybody. You need to go to
Yes,
Japan to do a photo shoot. That disrupts more than just the filming in a studio. It's actually you don't need to go to locations anymore. You don't spend money on actors anymore. Isn't that
very
a
true.
massive, massive disruption to the whole industry?
It is. It is. But you have to understand, making films and making contents is about storytelling and telling what the no let's movies is one section, and then advertising and media is different section, right? Where you're trying to teach people, educate people of a product or service. But in movie making, it has always been about expression of what is the expression of the story, and how do you want to tell the story. Before movies, it was theater, and that's how people would go to a theater, sit down there, and they would watch this show where people are performing live in front of you. There are other forms of it too, which was like opera and things and singing and whatnot, right? So they were theater, they were singing, and that eventually modified into cinema. And then from cinema it came into TV, and from TV it came into digital TV, and today and it changed the format. Movies were long. From 3 hours it became 2 hours, and then you would have skits, but like Lauren Hardy was like 30 minutes, 20-minute episodes or something like that, very small skits. But you have to remember how they were released. They were not released like how Netflix is released, where you have a whole 9 to 10 episodes of the whole thing. These 20-minute show was released maybe once a year. And it was a compilation of, so that, by the time we saw it in the 80s, we would see in a full run, on a VHS. But, and they were limited to the technology. The reason why they were 30 minutes is because, camera reels were different to, everything was black and white. To process them was different. It was more expensive too. So there was limitation of finances depending on who was producing it or whatnot. Um, but in today's time, these things where AI is coming in, and now the latest version of ChatGPT can create up to 60 seconds of video content instead of 5 seconds. Now it's 60 seconds. So you can actually create a whole movie without a set, without actors. Uh, you probably might need voiceover because I don't think it does voice, but you can still create AI voicing and stuff like that onto it on the new ones too. It does translation and things. So maybe you can put voiceover too. You can pretty much make a whole movie on that. As you said, there was that shot which you mentioned of, the drone shot of a lady walking or man walking through his thing. There was another one where it's a very fast-paced Porsche flying through the road, and it's going through tunnels and everything. And there's a drone shot, and it looks so believable. Now, to produce that, you would have to do so much of orchestration of getting the car in real life, right? Getting the car, setting up a drone shot, or like putting a dolly cam behind it with another rig car, which also cost money. So now, for somebody who wants to express and tell his story, he doesn't need all that finances. He can just use ChatGPT and make 60 seconds content and cut it up and make it into an hour movie of however he wants. You can modify it so much. So this opens the space of storytelling, which is what basically cinema and theater and all this is. It's a tool of telling your story. And thanks to AI in today's time, many more people will get a chance to tell their stories. And it will open another platform. Yes, it will disrupt a lot of this industries, but there will always be those blockbusters where you want to see real life action and okay, fine, directed by this so and so director. You want to see like their movie, but at the same time, you will also see content which is a nobody, and you're watching their content and their stories, and you're like, oh wow, very good perspective and very good storytelling. And thanks to AI, you get to see it and hear it.
I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, it's funny because you're talking with us right now. If we had a conversation maybe 2 years back, we wouldn't be talking about these elements of video production. So it's happening so quickly. It's scary. You talked about sort of video production through OpenAI, Sora, which is the OpenAI platform. There's Runway ML. There's 11 Labs for voiceovers. I mean, it is a very scary time. Interestingly, even the song production. So, there's these tools like Udio and Suno where you can just like enter prompts, one-line prompts, and they will generate literally. I was the other day working on Khaled from Algeria's Aisha, and like, listen, I use ChatGPT just to describe the song, and then I put that information into Suno to kind of create that song style, and did a great job. Played it at the EO, which is an entrepreneur organization in Dubai, just 3 weeks back, and it blew a lot of
Wow.
minds away.
Wow.
So the question is, what happens to all the people who are in this business? I agree with the whole Darwin theory about survival of the fittest, but the people who did this for 30, 40
Yeah.
years, what are they going to do?
There will be new laws that will be written to protect artists like that. Recently, I think so. There is a case where Tupac's family has sued somebody because they have used their voice and his style. Not only voice, but his style of rapping and writing his lyrics. So, things like this will happen where certain studios and certain um, individuals, artists will sue, and eventually government will come into play and new laws will come to protect artists. Currently, even in, what is it, the ACTRA? No, there's a big thing happening in Hollywood too, where all the writers are striking and stuff. over there. I'm forgetting the name, but that's also a very big revolution happening. And this is because of AI, because AI can write a lot of stuff. I've been testing with a lot of tools, and I'm seeing that to write a script or a story or even an essay and everything has become so easy. You can just regurgitate your mind. You write two paragraphs, you'll make 5 pages out of it with detail of how you want it. So um, also at the same time, AI will create a lot of gibberish where smart people have to smarten up and realize what is gibberish and what is actual good content. That will happen, but also that's also evolution of the human mind where we will be able to differentiate what is good and bad more so, right? And content wise, what is good content versus bad content. But about songs, yeah, it is a very big disruption, and there will be laws. I totally believe there will be laws which will come into play to protect industries, because not only they're individuals, they're also big, um, big companies and media studios and stuff which are behind it, and also these actors who are there. I don't know what's going to happen with the future acting or whatnot, the artists, because you can see even in today's time, the actor scenario is kind of dying off. It's more movies are more based on stories now than the artist itself. These are the last days of seeing Leonardo DiCaprio and actors like that. We don't see any new generation actors who are coming into that. But for music, um, it's really scary, to be honest, to see how you can actually even mimic the voice and the style of a particular artist and write a completely different song. You can use Elvis Presley's voice and style and write songs about today's problems, which he was not alive for. So um, I believe there will be changes in laws coming in the future. They will recognize this.
I really hope so because it will protect a lot of people and their livelihood. On that topic about people, actors, there's a thing about obviously deep fakes, which is really interesting.
Mm.
But I'm also interested to understand, can deep fake be monetized? Let me explain what I'm trying to say. For example, it takes, given that we can create drone footage, we can create people walking in Tokyo, etc., using AI. Can Leonardo DiCaprio create an AI model which he rents out or lets people hire, create his version in a movie without him actually having to travel all the way to say, Bangkok to do a movie? What are your thoughts on that, Caesar?
So I would say in the future, uh, these artists will be able to copyright their facial expressions and their facial schematics, which will be given out to, you can buy it and you can rent it and you can use it accordingly as long as it's moral grounds also met to use it. Um, and the only way, there will be softwares which you can hack it and use it. But I think from what I have been reading and understanding is that you will have to use a tool. Like, for example, the most common one is a chat GPT, right? You will have to use that tool to generate some kind of AI based content. There will be governance within these tools, which will double check content to see, are you deep faking someone? Are you stealing somebody else's work? Because, all you have to create is another transformer to see double check, which it is already doing. You can, in ChatGPT, you can see if the work is being created by ChatGPT itself or not, right? So there are tools like that. So I believe that more so there will be governance required from these tools to be used, because they wouldn't want their platform to be used for malicious purposes, or in today's time, what they're calling is AI terrorism. right? Deepfake is basically an AI terrorism, right? Especially if you're using it in a very malicious way. So this will become a very big thing, and I've been reading some articles on that too, where how AI terrorism government is realizing this too, where because it's not just actors. Tomorrow you can use a politician too, and you put those create something, put a video out on YouTube or on Facebook, and if people don't understand what is real or not, they might start believing what's going on. Something wrong is happening, and they might influence voting. So it just kind of happened in the past too, in a very small scale, but now this will become more big because these tools are so much easier accessible, and anybody can use it. Yeah, so there's a potential, I would say, for that.
So diversifying from the challenges with AI, let's look into the upsides of it. The one
Okay.
area which I think which is really interesting is immersive technology, looking at not only sort of the 2D version of content production, but also 3D, 4D, 5D, you name it. So do you see there's any opportunities in virtual reality and AI, or even like content distribution? I mean, could you use AI to have the same video produced in different formats for different platforms? One for example, for a high definition television, one for your PC on your LinkedIn or your Facebook. What are your thoughts on that,
You know,
Caesar?
that's a cool topic, and I think that will go more towards the advertising side of the industry, where you can already see it's happening in live sport, where different regions have different kind of advertising happening on the live field itself for different regions. Where you might see a certain advertising in USA of the same Formula One race happening, whereas on UAE there's a different advertising happening depending on those, like noon or something, whereas in Canada it's something based, Bell or something like that. Um, so those kind of stuff is already happening since half a decade or even more than that. But now it's come to a point our eyes can't even notice if it's digital or it's really over there, right? That will happen more and more so. Uh, and AI will help streamline this and make it happen faster. It will, which only gives better revenue stream to all these platforms like sports. And, also a lot of advertising is being used and on TV also today. Well, a lot of people watch TV also. That's happening, but more so in sports. It will happen where you will see AI taking over. Also with the editing part, live editing is a very tedious and expertise based job. And on a studio, the way it works is like you have a producer, and then all your camera people are spread across the field and everything, and you have the main uh, editor over there who pretty much switches. You have 10 screens, and you figure out which screen has to become the main screen. So that job can pretty much be taken by AI with less stress, because you can use a computer to track a ball or track a player. So now you're not visually a cameraman is tracking it. You have an AI tracker, which you can see in webcams and stuff. It's happening there since almost a decade, and now it's come to a point where you can also do a countdown of how many times your employee has got up or did something or type, use the keyboard. So a lot of things are happening in that sense. Yes, AI will help a lot. AI will pretty much take all the tedious, all the repetitive, all the basic calculative work, uh, things where it required 5 people, it could be just done by one expert now, who will pretty much, instead of being behind a big machine or something whatnot, he'll just be in front of a computer, giving commands to an AI what to do and what is required from the shot or from that cutting or however. uh, editing of it.
It's fascinating, equally scary what's possible and what might happen in the future because I think that is the beauty of it. So, thanks for sharing all these bits which you're currently seeing.
Mhm.
Caesar, as you go forward, if you were to look at your future and what you'll be doing in the future with the AI, where do you see yourself in the next 5, 10 years
Oh,
with the media work you're working on?
with the media work, I have to get more into content creation and understanding this industry of AI generation, how it will. So I'm keeping a very open eye of how different tools are coming up and how it can be used, because the latest versions are very scary to see. You don't even need actors or anything like that. But it's only better in the sense that people who want to express and tell a story, it will become easier for them. People who want to make ads, it will become easier for them. As you have also noticed in the recent years, there's a big change of how we consume media too. Our attention span is kind of reduced. So we enjoy our 6 second TikToks and reels or whatnot, right? Now it's also there on YouTube where you have reels happening over there. And it's data based where you can see clearly those consumptions are way higher compared to the consumptions of other content, which is much longer. So for that quick creation, quick upload, quick sharing, um, AI will help a lot. And the new generation, as you can see, is um, even in the video game industry, how they're playing. It's a lot about connection, where you players want to connect with each other visually and vocally, besides also playing the video game. It's no more like how back in the days it was PlayStation 1 and 2, where it would be one or two players sitting in the living room and playing together, but now you want to play with the whole world. So AI will help with that, connect people and consume content faster and share content faster. Uh, our future is going to be very much uh, consumption based, where we're going to consume through digital means and not physical. It'll become less and less, and we can see that in the future generations, the kids and stuff, how they are so much involved in being in front of a screen, pretty much so. From screen, it will become more so into um, how Apple is doing their Apple Vision Pro, where it'll just be a headset. That technology will go more further on, improving in how it will project. The screens will become better and higher resolution and brighter and more saturated, so it feels more real, lighter. Eventually, at some point, it will come into our sunglasses. That technology will become so small that we will always be connected. We are also currently always connected one way or the other because of our phones, or before it was a laptop, but now we have our phones and we are always connected. It's listening to us. It's keeping a track on our eyes, what we were watching. Just the other day, I was just reading about something, and next thing you know, I get an ad for it. I'm like, did I mumble this somehow? Did I mumble that name? No, I did not even mumble it. It tracked my eyes and it was not something which I was searching for. It was something which was in a point form, and I read into it. And I'm like, oh, okay, what is that? Let me look more into it. Before I'm looking more into it, I'm getting an ad about it. So, yeah, more and more so in the future, we will be more connected this way. And definitely AI is going to help us. Uh, we don't need to do the tweaking of things anymore. We just connect. It'll just streamline everything for us. Um, AI will also, so media consumption is one side. Media development and consumption is one side. AI will help us a lot in our old age, where you can see robotic boom is happening very fast in the last 2 years, ever since Elon Musk announced its version of robots. So that combined with artificial intelligence, I think we're coming to the age of the Terminator when Skynet is going to happen at some point. And you can see in OpenAI, there's a big problem also happening recently. There's a case or something where one of the very senior person walked out because he wanted to um, enforce certain morality laws in the coding, and the other developers were not okay with it or something like that. And so there's a big thing happening. And this will happen in other industries also. This is just one company. There's Meta and there's Alphabet. They're doing their own version. Tesla is going to drop their own version at some point. Something is going to happen. And this is just North America. Then China is going to do their own thing. One day India is going to make it their own thing. There'll be so many versions of this. There will actually be, this is the new, what do you call that? The Cold War had, the weapon wars, right? Kind of, so this is going to be the new age tech war where different countries in the future will fight for who has the strongest and the most powerful AI. But not to forget that what we are seeing today in the commercial world is way behind in what military is using. They have technology which is 10 years ahead of in today's time. So what they're using is way ahead and we don't even know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to unpack that, I mean, we talked first about the sort of the shorts or the reels and TikTok, the snackable videos. I mean, already you can
Snackable
see
video.
you're going to see
Nice way to put it. Yeah.
Opus Pro doing these like long form videos to short form videos for you at scale. You just enter the URL of the YouTube video and make you these short videos. If
Yeah.
phenomenal stuff, right? And they talked about the Google, like the glasses, for example. There's only Ray-Ban doing stuff with Meta, which is Facebook, with their glasses and how they are doing things, which is again mind-blowing that what they can achieve using AI. They talked about sort of these opportunities within what we're seeing as a sanitized version of what's already out there. Imagine,
Yeah.
as you're talking about Ilias, leaving OpenAI because there is this morality about AGI, annual general intelligence, coming our way. We don't even know what that is at the moment, really. So a lot to digest there, Caesar. But wow, I mean, we are really the cusp of the sort of the future, somewhat scary, like Black Mirror style,
Very true.
scary.
This is another dimension. If you actually realize, we are opening into another dimension which many of us will not understand. We as millennials will face the same thing that baby boomers faced when the computer revolution came in. People who evolved with it, they climbed and they made their money and they did well. And people who did not believe in computers, they got left behind. And they were completely aloof as like, what is this? How do I use it? And it's so hard for them. Whereas for us, we were born into it and we realize it, what computer, it's so easy. And this is going to be the Gen Alpha too. Generation Alpha are going to be born into AI. AI will be their friend. It'll be in their toys. They'll be like in their, in like their most basic necessities. So they will live with it. You can already see the generation before Gen Alpha, Gen Z, I believe, they're hooked to the screen completely, and they use the screen much better than even sometimes we use it. They know where all the apps and all the settings and everything are, right? Sometimes because their memory is so good, they're young and they're sharp. But this is the revolution that's going to come in. It's going to open a completely new dimension where we will talk differently, we will communicate differently. In today's time, you would see a lot of conversations where shortening our conversations according to hashtags and other keywords we use. Many a times you can use a certain hashtag and that hashtag will tell a whole story. You don't need to explain anything. You just use a hashtag, you know exactly what you're talking about, right?
Hashtag
And
blessed.
hashtag blessed, right? Yeah, there are, so conversation styling will change, and lots of other things, robotics is one side, AI is one side. Our other evolution that's going to happen pretty much so is how we communicate with computers, where things like Neuralink comes into play. They have already tested the first Neuralink. I don't know if it's how successful it is, but that's the first. So it will, over the decade, that'll be another big thing, because we have come into a bottleneck of how we can communicate with computers. Keyboards are very slow. Voice has come to a point after so long that it can recognize, but still it's not 100%. But when Neuralink comes into play, I know in today's time, Neuralink is very invasive. You've got to do a brain surgery and everything. But I think in the near future, it will be such that it will just be a tap on the neuron kind of stuff, and it can grab our electric waves from our brain. So like the device will be so strong, it can capture brain waves and send signals back and forth, which there are medical devices which has kind of proved it, but just that we have to come to a point where we can scale it to a more smaller and consumeristic format. But all that is going to happen. The next big revolution, tech revolution, is all this AI, robotics, and how we can, break that bottleneck of communication with computers. And just like how we see the evolution of cell phone from that Nokia banana phone to what we have today, a full-fledged not supercomputer, but like full-fledged, very powerful computer in our hands, which connects us completely to anything in the world, from media to voice to, we can do business on it. We can process things on it, do editing, lots of things. It's a very fast computer. And, wearables are coming into play. So, that wearables will become more and more smaller and easier to access. Different bridging, it'll communicate with our phone. Phone is going to go, slowly it'll become divided into different parts of it, where part of it will be our hand, which is already happening. Apple, Apple Watch and stuff. You see, I know a couple of friends. I'm not using Apple Watch yet, but I know friends of mine who are using it. They don't use their phone so much because they take their calls on that. Call comes over here, and anything else you want to see, small information, you see it on your watch, and the phone is always there in the pocket, unless you really want to consume things like media, in the sense you're watching YouTube or Reels or any other things like that. Yeah, it's a very bright future. I'm very excited for it.
Absolutely. You're right when you say about sort of looking at the AI replacing phones. I mean, there's a thing called a Rabbit, for example, which you launched, where you
Mm-hmm.
can basically, it is an AI tool in your pocket. And you're right, when you use
Yes.
Apple Watches, why would you need a mobile phone? It's just going to
Yeah.
be a different scenario, perhaps one which we won't know today, but when it hits us, we'll be like, yeah, let's use it. It seems like a nice
Let's
little
use it.
thing for
Yeah.
us to use.
We'll be there, and we see 1,000 or like 100,000 people using it. The next thing you know, we also jump into it. Maybe we might not be the early adopters. We'll go into the Gen 2 or Gen 3 when it becomes a little more cheaper and faster and better and proven technology. But people will jump in, and technology is the booming industry. Everybody buys all the latest stuff and all the newest things. So this will just get more and more so better in many ways. Technology I'm talking about.
100%. I mean, I just yesterday saw Copilot Plus PC launch, which is the latest laptop, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to get that straight away. So, I mean, yeah, this is just the right race to gonna get the next best tech AI which is out there, right?
Yeah, yeah. We keep on downloading the newest version and trying to experiment with that. Today is, we are enthusiasts wanting to know about technology, but in the coming years, it'll become essential in classrooms. So, just how we cannot operate. Remember in school, we were not allowed to use calculator, and then we went to university and calculator was okay. the same thing will happen. People will be using ChatGPT in class and it'll be okay, right? And it's the same thing. I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine, and he's like, "Oh, ChatGPT is cheating," and I'm like, "No." Initially, when Google came out, was that cheating? When you would just straight away Google on your computer and find out, like, hey, I have all the information now. I don't need to go to a library or ask an expert about it. And then eventually, first people would frown on it, and now that's the most common thing. You use it in university. Without Google, you will not pass. Everything comes there. Like, that's your library now. Nobody goes to library. Everybody goes online and finds out. So the same thing. What did that do actually? It just made our presentations better. We became more knowledgeable, and our fact checks were better, and we would do much more in a more shorter span of time. Whereas back in the day, you have to run around libraries and God knows, pick up like 10 books and go through all the pages and put tick marks and bookmarks in it and whatnot, right? Whereas now you have bookmarks on your computer and you can just, have references and everything, digital references. So it has just made our presentations and us explaining ourselves much better. So same thing is going to happen when, we use kids, the next generation of kids will start using ChatGPT or stuff like that in their classrooms, which will just make them more smarter and do better things and innovate better. And, we will progress as a human race, hopefully.
I love that. I love that. Let's end on that awesome note of evolution of the human race. We're all growing and getting better. Caesar, as people are super inspired by you and learn a lot of stuff today about media, technology, AI, you name it, where can they find more about you? Is there a resource or a link where they can learn more about you, or can we connect with you?
I believe, doing face-to-face conversations and learning about each other is the best way. But you can see my media stuff on my Instagram, which is Visualize Seas. You can search over there. I'll be launching a website soon too with all my stuff in it. It'll be coming at caesarsayed.com. And I'm just working on it, trying to get all my stuff in one place. And it will be open soon. As soon as that, I will let you know, and we can put the link of it in the near future.
Fantastic, Caesar. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today. So many insights there. It just kind of gives us the past, the current, and the future of technology and media. So thank you for sharing that. And we'll love to have you back on again at some point in the future.
Oh, I would love to talk again. I have so much more to share. And I want to hear your perspectives too about what do you think, of where all this technology is going and how it's going to help us as humanity, because by the end of it, we have all this to make our lives better. So we can do other things, and which it has made a lot of things easier for us, where we can spend our time doing things which we actually enjoy. So yeah, we'll share some more.
Absolutely. I have a North America AI talking tour coming up in April 2025. So I will definitely come and connect with you in Toronto.
Yes, definitely. Would love to speak to you more. All right.
Thank you, Caesar. Really, really good to catch up again. And thanks for all the fantastic insights.